Okay, ladies, let's talk about worry. You know, Jesus asked this one question that most of us really, really like to avoid. And it's in Luke chapter 12, verse 25, and it says this: "Who of you, by worrying, can add one single day to your life?" The answer is we actually don't ever add life by worry. And in fact, we destroy it. You see, worry, it feels productive and it feels responsible and it feels helpful. And really at the bottom of it, it even feels that we're loving really well the people around us. You see, I used to believe that if I carried in my mind long enough or hard enough or heavy enough someone else's struggles, I could somehow change their outcomes. But what actually happens when we worry about someone else's stuff and try to fix their stuff is we actually give unsolicited advice, usually with hints of criticism and judgment. And the funny thing is we label this as love. Here's the point, my friend. This is not actually love. That was discomfort of powerlessness wearing the mask of devotion. Let me say this again. Worry is the discomfort of powerlessness wearing the mask of devotion. Luke 12:26 in the same passage that we're talking about says this: "If you can't even do a very little thing, why do you worry about the rest?" In other words, if you're not God, why are you trying to play his role in somebody else's life? Hey guys, I'm not saying this to shame you, shame off you. I'm saying this so we can start healing the dysfunctional patterns in our relationships, in ourselves. The areas that God is trying to go after in your life and in my life if we let him. You see, worry is a false sense of control. It gives you the illusion of involvement without the authority to change a dang thing. And while you continue to go on and on and on mentally managing someone else's life, your soul and your spirit and your body pays the price. Toxic neurochemicals flooding through your neurosystem and through your body. Tension, sleepless nights, lack of presence in relationships because we're up here in our brains trying to solve everybody else's problems, labeling it as love. Ending up with a nervous system that forgot what peace ever felt like. And hear me when I say this. People who worry usually are people who love very, very deeply. And they want the world around them to be better and the people around them to be freer and wholer, but they don't understand that that worry is actually linked to that powerlessness, and they haven't learned to let that go and to let God in. So now, instead of offering presence, we offer pressure. Instead of trust, let me just control that for you a little bit. And the very thing that we're hoping for and trying to create is love is actually burning the bridges in your relationships. Ladies, I have spent countless hours of my life, days of my life worrying about people who still chose their own path, who still struggle, who still suffered. No matter how much I worried, loved, it didn't change anything for them. The thing is, all my worry did, regardless of their outcome, was slowly turn my heart to hardened, tired, and self-righteous. Hear me when I say this. There is a quiet grief that happens in the depths of a soul when I realized that I was actually never meant to carry what I have carried my whole life. But there is also this sweet freedom that comes from the well springs inside. Because when we release worry, we don't become less loving. You actually become rightly aligned with who God says you are. And you learn to navigate the relationship from this wholehearted vantage point. Jesus gives us the answer to worry in verse 31. Seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. This is the invitation, ladies. not to fix the world around you, but be transformed within. When your identity is anchored deep in who God says you are, your nervous system begins to settle. Your mind becomes clear, and love becomes something entirely different than you could have ever possibly imagined. Love no longer strives, it's no longer heavy, it's no longer exhausting, it no longer controls, it no longer carries what wasn't yours to carry. No, in fact, it trusts, it releases, it comforts, it encourages, it strengthens, it builds up. It holds my responsibility to me and your responsibility to you so God can do the pruning in your life the same as he wants to do the pruning in mine. So here's the way I wish someone would have gently told me what to do with worry years ago. Worry is not the evidence of love. It is the quiet thief of life. It does not protect what you cherish. It actually slowly drains the life within you. There were burdens that you were never designed to carry, weights that do not belong in your hands, and outcomes that were never entrusted to your control. So release them, not because you don't care, but because you finally understand that caring was never meant to look like this. Let God be God and come back to your place, back to your breath, back to your transformation, back to your presence, back to the life that is waiting for you on the other side of surrender. This is where freedom begins. Think about that for the day. Peace.